Hello there and welcome back to another edition of the Hot Lap Classic Remastered. This time we'll take a look at the 1999 Audi S3, our final Audi to take on the course, and probably one of my favourite ones in the game. It's either between this or the S4. I probably would say the S4, but I do very much love a first generation Audi S3, and this car was a bit of a trailblazer. Obviously, all-wheel drive hot hatches have existed for a long time. There's the likes of the Lancia Delta HF Integrale in this game. But I think in terms of sort of proper mainstream brands getting aboard the four-wheel drive hot hatch train, this was really the first one, the proof of concept, if you will. You know, obviously back when this car came out, there was no one else really doing the four-wheel drive hot hatch, at least to my knowledge, which, as we all know, can be flawed. But now, you know, obviously in the present day, it's easier to find an all-wheel drive hot hatch than it is a front-wheel drive one. There's the Audi S3 and the RS3, the 1 Series is all-wheel drive, the A45 AMG all-wheel drive. There's so many of these hot hatches from the mainstream brands, especially the German brands, that are going towards the four-wheel drive, and really, it was sort of this car that pioneered it, and of course the R32 Golf. A little bit later on. I'm slightly distracted by the fact that the Audi S badge is floating quite far away from the rear end of the car. That is an interesting visual effect for Gran Turismo. I can tell you, having seen the texture file for this car, that the Audi badge on the back, the sort of S-line badge that they've got, is very, very detailed. But no, I love a first generation Audi A3. I think these cars look absolutely fantastic. It's just something about it I like. It's sort of a no-nonsense hatchback design. I think it looks a lot better than the Mark IV Golf on which it's based. And yeah, it's a car I really like, and I think the S3 is a really good looking hot hatchback as well. Very subtle, which I do quite like. Now, in terms of this car when it comes to the course, Audis have been quick. Very quick, actually. Even the base A3 set a time of like 30.3, so I'm expecting this S3 maybe not to be quite sort of ultra competitive. I'm expecting this sort of around the likes of the Pulsar GTI-R and the 323 GTR, sort of other all-wheel drive hot hatchbacks, admittedly a couple of years older than this, but still, that's sort of the camp I'm expecting this to end in, but we will see. This car also comes in fantastic colours, I should mention, and some colours that are absolutely atrocious, but I've gone for this very nice Imola yellow. Four-wheel drive, 389 horsepower, 1,223 kilos. A pretty decent stats for an all-wheel drive car. You'd probably want a little bit more power. Given the size of it, it does weigh quite a bit, but I can't say I am particularly surprised by that. Anyways, the Audi S3 is going to have 6 laps of the Motorsports Land track in order to set the best time it possibly can. Our current leader is the Suzuki Escudo Pikes Peak version. That car set a time of 25.696. The Audi S3 unlikely to beat that. Now, as mentioned, in terms of Audis, the A3, the base front-wheel drive A3 with the 1.8-litre turbo engine in this game, set a time of a 30.353. The A4, the sort of big 2.8 Quattro car, set a time of a 30.252. So I'm going to suggest this is, again, sort of going to get into, just about into the under 30 club. The likes of the 323 GTR is a 29.7. Pulsar GTI-R, I think slightly quicker than that, again, sort of 29.7. So somewhere in that ballpark is sort of right around where I am expecting this car to land on its first flying lap, 29.949, which ain't bad for the first lap anyway. In terms of this sort of car, it feels pretty well planted. Bit of understeer coming into it. You can definitely tell this is on the heavier end of four-wheel drive cars, and that this would definitely be sort of one of the first. 29.602, there we go. That's not bad. Time to start getting the ball rolling on this one. Yeah, a little bit sort of understeery, it does have to be said. Especially when you're sort of pushing it, that front end will sort of wiggle its way loose a little bit. Which is a shame, because other than that, it drives pretty well. Feels quite sprightly for 389 horsepower, it does have to be said, and it doesn't feel all that weighty either. So yeah, not a bad handling thing all in all. So far anyway. I think this car's quite expensive from what I remember. This starts at about 50k, so for 50k you can get a lot of car. I mean, you know, currently we're sort of 0.1 ahead of a Pulsar GTI-R, but the Pulsar can be had for, well, a tenth of what this is worth, or not that far off of that, so yeah. Sort of from a value for money proposition, maybe not the best one, but certainly proving it ain't all bad as far as cars like this go. There's also the Lancia Delta, which sort of throws a bit of a fly in the ointment as well. Come on, S3. What can you do? I can't believe I got away with that corner cut. 29.329. I can't believe it got away with that at the end. I so thought that was going to be a disqualification. It was a bit of a weird sort of, I don't want to say drifting to that final corner, bit of a bizarre one there. We've seen that happen with like Evos and Imprezas and stuff, where you can sort of kick it out and it gets it turned in a bit sharper, and you can make up lap time with that. It's just a bit inconsistent. This car doesn't really have the power to wait to do that, which is sort of why it sort of seemed to stutter a little bit when it was doing it. It sort of realised it did it, and then, you know, trying to actually get it turned in, it was compensating a little bit. But yeah, not a bad time from the S3. I'm very impressed with that. Again, very much helped by that final corner. Little sort of bit of luck there in terms of its handling profile. But hey, I mean, if it wasn't a four-wheel drive car, it couldn't do that. So yeah, it must be good for something. Like I say, a pretty quick car, and it does beat some pretty established four-wheel drive names, as we'll look at in a second. A 29.329 will place this into 117th place. Goes in between the Sanavi Silvia and the Mazda RX-7 Type RB. It is quicker than a legacy touring wagon, Evo 4, Evo 3 rally car, the WRX STI sedan version 3, legacy touring sedan. So it's sort of right around that pack of Subarus. It is quicker, of course, by about 0.4 up on the Pulsar GTI-R, the 323 GTR. It is quicker than the Toyota Caldina GTT. It is also about 0.2 up on the Lancia Delta HF Integrale, quicker than the Subaru Forester. Yeah, I mean, in terms of sort of four-wheel drive hatchbacks quicker than this, the Delta HF Integrale Collezione set a phenomenally quick time, and it does have to be said that the Rally Car Delta, which is the HF Evo with the race mod, hasn't gone round yet, so that could be back for a little bit of revenge. But yeah, not bad. Slightly slower than GT4 Celica as well, the 95. But yeah, good time, good car. I liked it. I like this car, and I'm glad that Audi managed to get another little win on its way out the door. Not quite as quick as the S4, in case you was wondering. That is the quickest Audi of all, other than the TTLM edition, of course. But yeah, not a bad time from a pretty good car. Well, that's it for this episode. Thank you all very much for watching. Join me next time when I'll be driving something completely different. Until then, farewell.